Alistar again, because although you don't have as many bans going down towards that bottom side of the map, so potential to maybe try and mix it up, but I think the Alistar still works super well here. And then for the mid lane, that's the one that I'm really curious about. You could go towards like something like the Rise if you want to go and try and play those side lanes. Twisted Fate, I can see over here, kind of fits that style as well, and it looks like that's what we're going to be going with.
All right, and then this will be the Alistar Dagda. Let's see it, because Mole lost his Zoe. The only reason there's a change here. Missing Alistar, you talked about it before. Lock it in. Come on. There we go. All right, same draft apart from Twisted Fate. What rounded out here? Gwen again? Does Langx think he can do it?
Not a hope.
Surely
I would not
not.
touch that Gwen. After the last game, I'd be like, you know what? No. I'm okay. Especially with a Twisted Fate. It's like, not only do I get Beishang, I get Mole here as well now. I don't want to deal with that. So, yeah, I definitely, like, maybe something like a Jace or something in the top lane. The Volibear actually looks like it's going to be the call. So, certainly something that can, you know, try and push back, try and solidify a bit of a stronger lane presence for itself, I think is definitely favorable. And, I mean, Langx, he's always liked these weak side top laners, bruisers. So, Volibear definitely going to be something that fits into his wheelhouse and provides that strong front line for the rest of TT's, you know, mid-game orientated team fight.
And you start the onus on like top lane the other way around, right? Volibear Rumble is a very good diving lane. There is no one out there who can say that, well, these teams don't, you know, this top lane doesn't dive well. So if Xiaopeng can get up there and reverse as to what happened in game number 1, then Langx could pretty much do the same thing that Breathe did to him. So I'm kind of excited for this one to see if Xiaopeng has more of an impact this game, or if Beishang, you know, catch 22, it comes back, he's like, well, okay, that's not catch 22, you know what I mean? It comes back again, and we just see the Udyr up on the top side.
Yeah, and it could easily be the case, especially when you've got the ability to try and run down this Volibear. It could work out for them. Got the cripple there to try and help out with getting the Udyr into lane, but we'll see how it goes. I think overall, though, you're still looking at an ability to try and play out side lanes really effectively here as WE. I mean, with Mole having that Twisted Fate, if you get Breathe ahead, you're going to look fantastic. And because you've got that Ezreal down on the bottom side, you know that Beishang is going to want to try and play towards this top side, because that's where well, at least he's got a little bit more presence from his laners.
Yeah, the rinse and repeat. And you talk about presence. I just love this time around. Yeah, Mole's going to be involved no matter what. So we'll see how they go for the side of TT in fending off that aggression. WE smacked them in 25 minutes flat in game number 1, and TT are trying to survive the series at this point. Ye's debut game into the LPL, and in our day of junglers, Ye was trying to follow around Xiaopeng and trying to get that nice little slam equalizer, slam red carpet. I can't remember what I named it last time, but put him into the burn. Give him carpet burn, that's it. But that didn't happen. Dagda, as exciting as that name is, it didn't happen. So welcome Summoner's Rift once again, and Dagda, it's your turn to take it away, because I don't know what's going on at the moment. I feel like it's the same draft that's just kind of made me go loose.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though for Ye, right? It's like, do we know what Ye looks like? No, because he played Sett both games in a row, so we have no idea what this mid laner is actually capable of, but has cut out Mole here, although Beishang kind of hovering in the bush, trying to see if there's the potential here for him to find something out, but Mole popping that pot nice and early, so keep himself available as they look for this late invade.
Oh yeah, what are they going to find? Absolutely nothing. But Langx, he's got a ward in his inventory. I'm curious if he puts that into the tri-brush. He'll spot out the invade if Breeze pathing comes through the opposite side of the triangular brush, but Langx hasn't dropped his ward whatsoever. This is going to be unspotted, Dagda, and the potential to vertical jungle the lane that got absolutely thrashed is now available.
And I think if you do vertical jungle, like, this is a big win for Beishang, because he wants to be playing up towards Breathe. He wants to make sure Langx is in an uncomfortable situation. And as well, like, for Elka missing, they're fine just absorbing this pressure from Sam D and Patch, but we'll have to see what the decision is. Like, full topside is going to be gone here for Xiaopeng, and he'll know. Like, especially when he realized that Mo was missing in lane, as we talked about, like, Breathe taking that path to in towards topside. Like, he'll know he'll need to start vertical jungling here.
But look at what Langxing's doing at the very least. I mean, the suspicion you mentioned is there. Langx actually going for a deep ward, but Beishang's going to cut him off. Breathe has the wave against his turret, and he's not showing anything for now. He's taken the minions as per normal, but as they disappear, Beishang will come on out, and Langx will be zoned all the way around and potentially back up to his top lane turret. So Beishang now spotted out on his blue side, and that gives Xiaopeng the understanding, as you mentioned, to now start looking for reverse camps.
Yeah, it just makes things really difficult though for Langx, because he knows now he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Beishang as well, as you can see, he's got a fully path. Actually might try and contest onto this bottom side.
Yeah, it's missing here, goes in, headbutt into the pulverized Xiaopeng smite, so hits level 3, and now Elk might have to get the hell out of there. Arcane shift over the wall while here comes the Jet, or rather the Sett. He's like a Jet, as missing Sett up and in the first blood. There we go, TT responding with positive action. And Beishang just trying to get the remnants.
I don't know why they committed to that. Like, you have full push in mid for TT, you full push in bot for TT, so they're always going to be able to respond faster, and Beishang isn't in a position to try and go for that. So, strange call coming through from WE when they just don't have people in position to actually make that play happen. Now, Beishang, yeah, sure, you're going to be a camp up, but when you've just given a kill across over on towards Xiaopeng, he's going to be more than happy to trade that.
At least for Beishang, he's able to pick up some CS, but you're right, massive mistake from WE that's going to cost him, and now Xiaopeng with the flash available, knowing that Missing doesn't have his, can do a lot of fancy work in this bottom lane. Krugs are also there, and, excuse me, Missing and Elk behind in CS, behind in experience now too. Much better start for the jungler of TT Dagda as patch goes in, but Xiaopeng still being hovered off the corner of our eye, hitting level 4. Now, of course, he won't have the equalizer here, but Elk low on mana, Missing again without that summoner. I'm curious as to what happens next.
Yeah, still a lot of damage coming through, especially if he overheats, but I think when you got the TP there for Mole and Breathe, they're a little bit cautious by trying to fully commit for this dive, so instead he's just going to back away. Beishang already on this top side though, clearing through these top camps, so you won't be able to get your hands on that as Xiaopeng, and a bit of a faster clear means that this could actually be a way for Beishang to continuously rotate through the jungle, and with Langx looking low, I think we're going to get a first dive of the game.
Here we go again. Even though things change a little bit, Xiaopeng coming up here to stop the dive, but Beishang is level 5, Sonic Wave is there, teleport against the turret, holds the minion wave, that's Mole, but no. Langxing's gonna jump on him. Gold card at the ready, and yeah, okay, the TP's done, but now, yeah, just gets to push in for a bit of turret plating, and Beishang's now gone.
Yeah, I think massive mistake coming through from WE, where they realized, hey, look, Patch is missing potential to roam topside. Xiaopeng going to be coming in off the reset as well, but instead of just backing away, they tried to hard commit with Mole. Miscommunication. It means you get the TP from Mole out, whereas he could have just gone back, held that for the level 6, and they could have tried to make that play happen now that they know Xiaopeng is on the bottom side of the map, just because of where his camps are going to be spawned.
Yeah, a lot more information this time around for TT. Dagda, I want to talk about map state a little bit here, because it's been super wonky for WE, that's no lie, but they're still pretty even in gold at this point in the game. 10 CS lead on the top side. Jungle has a pretty big lead as well. Mid is even enough as you expect in a melee versus range matchup. But bottom lane for TT, Sam D in a 10 CS lead, has the pickaxe as well, so there's actually quite a lot of damage on this bottom lane, Dagda, and I think a very good start for TT when we expected at this point in the game with the composition available, it would be a bit more of a blowout considering we started with vertical jungling, as Mole is actually moving up.
The gold for jungle doesn't reflect the level difference though, because Beishang has been powering through these levels. Xiaopeng only just hit 5. Beishang is about to hit level 6 himself. You can see it just there in the experience level. So this is where this advantage is coming from. And when you've got control of the top map, it's Beishang continually trying to invade, see if he can get 3 quadrants of the jungle, and then force Xiaopeng to be crazy far behind.
But let's also remember that, you know, Xiaopeng hitting level 6 is going to be more impactful as well. You're right, level disadvantage. But Udyr hitting 6 means absolutely tiddly squad, as Xiaopeng's just trying to rush and get there himself. Beishang for the invade here. Red buff will be started, but Xiaopeng will spot him out. Breathe walking in, you mentioned there. The bear slap at the ready. Beishang has flash, and Breathe coming in to help contest this. Langx nowhere nearby for now, so red should just be taken.
And this is something WE do incredibly well. When you've got a twisted fate, you pretty much have a duo partner at all points in time for the jungle. So you can see here as well, Breathe now acting as that third man. Langx trying to say, hey look, maybe I can get some of these Krugs for myself because I'm not going to be able to hold on to this top tower. I mean, look at where Mole is. So he's got to back right the way off, doesn't get any of the gold, and WE are powering through this strong top side.
It doesn't matter about the mistake, it's just decision-making protocol here for WE, and you know, Langx, I respect the decision to try and deny, because you want to make sure as little resources as possible to this top lane duo go through so you have an easier time. But after being spotted out, he has to back away. He's missed quite a bit of minions at the tower as well, to the tune of about 20 CS. And while Xiaopeng's getting Dragon, let's not forget what happened last time where Beishang got the Herald as a response. It's 8 minutes now as well, and I'm curious as to what happens with this next objective, Dagda, because for TT, the Dragons weren't enough to sway the game in their favor. That Herald's going to be a big play.
Well, for WE, it definitely feels like it's theirs, because here we, like, when you look at, okay, so we've got 3 quadrants set for Beishang. I wasn't sure if we're going to see them aggress actually over towards Xiaopeng, who's stealing the Raptors away, but you're still getting like Krugs, Beishang, Red Buff, Beishang. So 2 out of the 3 camps in this quadrant have gone to Beishang. The entire top side of the map, all of the camps are going to Beishang. So you're only getting a quadrant and a third for Xiaopeng, whereas you're getting so much more for Beishang. So I think realistically here, WE, they know they have full control of top side. They know they'll be able to use that advantage to make sure they get the Rift Child and to just continue taking Xiaopeng's camps off respawn. This is something Beishang is so damn good at, why he's considered one of the best junglers that we have in the LPL.
I think the word for him is oppressive, right? That's what he's been in both these games. And again, game 1 more so than game 2, but this time around it's definitely been about those smaller wins that have accrued, like this as well. Herald picked
he's going
up
for Raptors.
Yeah, you know, going straight for it as Mole starts it off, and that's the priority from his solo lanes. They set him up for success as well, and Beishang follows through.
And look, I mean, where do you try and go here, Xiaopeng, right? You've got your Krugs, or you got your Grump, and you got Raptors, and that's it. Yes, okay, great. Rift Scuttler spawn on the bottom side, but Beishang now is going to go clear your top side. He's moving back into his own side of the jungle. He's actually holding on to the Krugs on top side of the map here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if he's just going to path up that direction. Think about potentially going for a dive alongside Mo, but you can see Patch had started to roam up that way to try and keep himself safe. Same when you look at Ye, who is kind of hovering towards this top, trying to just creep, or at least lean up that way to keep him safe. Is missing, might be caught out.
Flash, yeah. Otherwise, he was dead from Xiaopeng. So, unfortunate they're clearing a ward spot out by the jungle. On Mole, the exact same. Bit of anti-synergy with Patch, but the quickness is flashed into. Equalizer down there as well. Triple ulti from TT, but they get the prize in Mole. 2 kills now for Xiaopeng. He's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, Xiaopeng desperately needed that. And the fact that they're able to at least break this oppression, but yeah.
Counterplay there. Missing comes on in. He's got the level 6 if he wants to continue to engage. Beishang level 8 for 7. Remember, still a very big Udyr here, but hasn't really gone back to pick up the items. Curious about what he's sitting on, Dagda, but still a net win for TT, right? They have the gold lead in this game. They have the Dragon. It's all about where that Herald goes next to equalize for WE, but at least for TT this early game, they're holding out.
It's so crucial that Xiaopeng is getting these 2 kills as well, because he needs to get items. As a Rumble, when you're behind, you don't do anything. So the fact that he's managed to get these 2 kills and stay relevant means that he can still get to his Night Harvester fast. He'll still be able to hit a bunch of these Magic Pen items on time before you start to build up a ton of Magic Resist on WE's side. So big win for TT. The Xiaopeng of all people is the one getting these. And you can see here, look, a bit of anti-synergy, 100%, but still, it means that there's no way for Mole to flash away, and it means that you're able to get this kill as TT.
Bit of issues with Mole on this roster so far. You know, Mole's had some, I think it was game 3 or game 1 or game 3 against Suning where there was a standout game, but game 2 on the Sett, he was practically running it down. In the first game, there's some weird positioning, like that flash we saw against Turret. Even there, Mole not playing like he did on the V5 roster where he was the carry. He knew how impactful his decision-making was. Letting loose a little bit on this WE roster, not something we normally see out of this mid laner. So a bit of a rough start for him once again. We'll see where he uses his first Destiny Dagda, because this is what we always talk about with Twisted Fate, and especially in the comp that WE build here, impacting that top lane, putting Breathe ahead alongside Beishang, who's been farming a monstrous lead here in the jungle. Mole hasn't used his Destiny yet. He's got TP as well. We want to see that ulti to start snowballing the game for WE. That was, well calculated.
It's 1 HP?
Oh, yeah, just obviously not looking at it. So he was looking up towards the top side, so he misses it. But Herald now spotted up to the top side, and talk about snowballing. It begins.
Langx, you can see the tilted thumbs up going there, because he's just like, I just want to play the game, but now Mole, you talked about it, caught it again.
Gold card there, but the showstopper's available. Equalizer with a good slow, but Beishang spotted out. to help motivate TT to go away. Herald gets a second charge in the top side. First turret blood over to WE. They form a gold lead of about 1,200 here at the 12-13 minute mark, and still a 30 CS lead up in that top side. So for TT Dagda, the motivation here is towards the bottom lane. I'm going to ignore what's happening in the top side. That Kaisa is farming away swimmingly, and hopefully for TT, as Xiaopeng continues to prioritize his bottom side, they can actually get her towards first, second item and make something of this early game that has been pretty calm for Sam D and Patch.
I'm going to hold on to my point because Beishang wants to make
maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter whatsoever. Langx stunned up. Here goes Sonic Wave Resonating Strike. Stormbringer on top, but Breathe ends up punching him in the noggin. Mole was there as well, and there you go. First Destiny secures a kill in a turret topside at 13.5 minutes, and just as I'm trying to highlight TT, that happens.
And I want to jump onto your TT point though, because I do actually agree with it to a large portion, especially because they've managed to get these dragons. TT is a composition that wants to fight off of their mid-game spike, where you get the 1 to 2 items coming through from Xiaopeng, Sam D, and the big thing here for them is they're actually on point for it, right? You've got 2 of the dragons already completed. You're going to be hitting these spikes relatively soon, and could actually find a pick onto Mole here.
Equalizer there. You ready for the showstopper? Everfrost quickness down. Golden Mole for the time being, but he's still dunked into the sand. Patch picks that one up, and they want to bully Mole, just like WE bullied Langx in game 1.
And that's the thing, it's like, yes, you are 2k behind here as TT, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not a massive problem. If you can still play through these dragons, the amount of stats that you're going to get off of that is going to be fantastic, whereas for Breathe, it feels like now with that top lane turret going down, he doesn't have a huge amount of places to play around, right? Yes, he's hovering mid because he's like, okay, well, I can try and get this, but he's going to go back, he'll collect the wave, and then you end up in a position again where you're not going to try and threaten onto an inhibitor turret with every other turret on the map still up. So unless you actually start to work with Mole and Beishang to now turn that into mid lane pressure, you're fine here as TT to just go, cool, we're going to sit here, farm it up, wait for 3.5 minutes, and take the fight to WE at this dragon.
And that's why I came back to the 2 damage dealers, because the Kaisa and the Rumble, the people that are going to be putting out the most DPS in these fights, are sitting very comfortably right now. The frontline Volibear, Sett, even the Rakan for the engage, they're going to be doing just fine because they're going to be the bruisers who are able to set up these team fights. And for WE, with the pick potential they have, TT being in this position is so much better for them than it was in game number 1. You can see Langx forming farm up in the top side while Beishang picks another Herald up. They're trying to break open the map, tempo-base the game once again, as this is the Destiny used. Equalizer not going to cut it this time. True Shot Barrage lines through, and Beishang's going to have a bit of a word with Xiaopeng and Patch. The Phoenix flies for WE as Patch has to get the heck out of there. Stormbringer as well for Langx. And just when TT are happy to play the pick and sit on their laurels, Dagda, they lose it again.
And now Breathe is still here. Yeah, it's alone under tower. You have Kick. Could try and make the play on towards the Sett mid, but instead, they're going to be happy to take these towers. So now you're in an uncomfortable spot as TT. If you'd been able to play it safe, try to counteract what was happening from WE, maybe you could have looked for these fights, but now you've got full mid lane control coming through for WE. Makes it a lot more difficult now to try and hold on to that bot lane structure as well, because you can have Mole going down there with the Destiny. Breathe can handily make its way down there as well. And this all starts to fall a little bit to the wayside for TT.
Especially when, that extra bit of gold will go towards setting up for these items to try and get yourselves this 3rd dragon. Make sure that TT don't have that window, right? The Infernal Dragon would be so big for them to threaten away, because it is Soul Point coming up a minute 40 until TT have that decision to make. And I'm really curious, Dagda, as to what you think in the upcoming fight and how you think this interaction is going to go on the bottom lane. What are you looking out for coming up between TT and WE for the 3rd trade?
I'm going to hang on because Beishang a little bit low under tower, but basically what I want to see is like, how do we actually get the operation between Mole and Breathe working? Because the pick potential there is sky high. You get the CC onto the target, you get a kick that can come through nice and handily. And especially if I'm looking at someone like Xiaopeng or Sam D, the 2 big damage dealers, if they go down, that's a massive chunk of your DPS out of the fight. So for WE, I feel like those are the 2 that they're looking at, and then look to try and play the rest of the fight as a slow front to back with Elk, who's going to have his Divine Sunder finish, trying to work through this.
I like that. So we're looking for the pick potential maybe before the objective. Look towards one of these side lanes or hit towards the back of the fight and separate TT before it even begins. It is WE who are now making their resets. TT, partial reset here for the bottom lane with the Zeal picked up. It is 1.5 items onto Elk. Same here with the almost rapid fire for Mole. Breathe is at the same point. So we don't have any 2-item carries on Summoner's Rift right now. Just scanning through. Yeah, that's pretty much the cause of it. But yeah, in a flanking position. For TT on the other side, Dagda, that engage is insane. And yeah, has got to be one of the playmakers.
You can see Sam D is safe among the rest of his team, so Xiaopeng is the pick.
Oh, they found him. Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike, the Dragon's Rage again. And just like, yeah, he's like, well, okay. Can't do it anymore. Sits on the back end, and WE going to move over to this Dragon. You talked about it, Dagda, but they didn't even use Destiny to find it.
Yeah, they didn't need to. I mean, they just gifted across the pick. Nice Sonic Wave coming through from Breed to find it, but that was exactly what we wanted to see. Pick onto one of the key damage dealers on TT and just take them out of the equation before the fight can even kick off.
Now Beishang's looking for a little bit more. Sam D gonna lose the blue buff. Thank you for the leash. Yeah, the Vayne emote slaps real hard. Beishang gonna be head back after a successful play. Watch this once again, because Xiaopeng was going for a ward.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to. I think this was a pretty big mistake coming through from Xiaopeng. Like, if you're grouped up as 5, it becomes a lot more difficult to try and play at these fights as WE. Especially because, like, a lot of your damage from Elk would be turned into Langx and yeah, who are reasonably happy to just tank that up. And then you can have Sam D try and play safe, but bot side here, Breed taking a bit of a trade here from EA, but neither
what
person.
What trade is that? I mean, he's got a Gauntlet attack, he's got a Phage, he doesn't take damage anymore, and Beishang is going to punish Ye if he sticks around. Oh, Xiaopeng coming in as well. Missing off the flank with mobility boots, remember. Dagda, are you ready? There's the face breaker, showstopper back into the turret for Beishang. He's chilling Smiter down, taking the turret's aggro. The flash away, that was janky as hell. But Xiaopeng, the first to drop down as Beishang, gets done to the second skin. This is where Sam D can shine as Elk's over the wall. Yeah, hitting hard as well, missing for the double. Sam D has done enough in this fight, but can he do any more? Facebreaker onto Mole, who flashes away. Gold card, but the true damage denied. Sam D flashes in once again. Breathe coming in red hot, but Sammy D survives, and now Elk wants to play at range capacity, but Langx is going to make it so this is a favorable trade. Yeah, stride breakering, forcing the flash. This new mid laner played that fight exceptionally well.
Played it incredibly well, and it means that TT now, they get 2 picks, they get some of the shutdown goal back in their favor as well. We're going to see it here, like, Xiaopeng, great equalizer, and with the face breaker over the top, you're taking so much damage. Great job from Ye as well to cop who was actually tanking that turret. He gets Beishang into the equation, and it means that he's taking a whole heap of damage. Breathe is forced out of the fight, and WE way overextend for the trade.
I'm just surprised none of them went towards Elk and, you know, just walked towards River and group up. Everyone kind of went their own separate way, and Breathe and Mole suffered in the end. A couple of skill shots missed, and Sam D going all in was a nice touch. The confidence play out of the AD carry, who's now got 2 items. So TT winning the fight, Dagda. Gold lead might not be in their favor, but we have to remember that this composition, we've seen it play out. There's so many engage potentials, and all it takes is that front line to set them up for Sam D, and he'll clean up the rest.
I think for WE, you just need to go for a quick reset here. Just go, look lads, that didn't work out, but you may not get it, because TT, they're starting up the barrel.
They are. Is this a dangerous move, though? Missing is going to be the one face checking.
Little bit.
Beishang is level 12 with the flash available. True Shot Barrage does so much as Destiny goes over the wall, but they've spotted him out. Mole, Everfrost, and now caught out dead. Mole just not having a good start of the split, as missing with a Pulverize might be able to bring it back. Breathe in the back line. Sonic Wave again. This Lee Sin jungle duo is fully sick, as Langx shielded up by the Sky Split, but the rest of WE clean it to pieces. Man, I love watching Beishang and Breathe this series.
Breathe has been a monster. The fact he's managed again to get access to the backline, to get onto Sam D, to find those kills, and now net WE this Baron. That's why Breathe is being unleashed in this meta.
That's why it's the Prodigy Dagda. I'm about to play that song and repeat in my ears. We'll watch again. Teleports come through to kick us off, and Mole, his Destiny wasn't a good position.
Yeah, and look, with that though, Sam D, he goes for the killer instinct in, which means that then when Breathe is able to get that follow-up resonating strike in onto the support, he's got direct access to Sam D. So Breathe is murdering folks in the back line. Elk is tearing through health bars in the front line, and you're just caught between a rock and a hard place as TT going, we're dead on both fronts, where do we go?
And you have to remember, each time this fight is lost for TT, they're giving away free stats in an Infernal Dragon. They're now at a point where the items heavily outweigh, or let's just say partially outweigh in certain roles, where TT are looking less and less likely to fight, now that it's an almost 7k gold lead. Mole pushing the turret in the bottom side, Dragon up in 30 seconds, Dagda, and WE have full control of the map, and TT have to group up and make sure they get it their engage off first, but WE doing the same. There's the kick from Breathe. He doesn't get the ward hop, but maybe it's just send him back so they can push mid turret.
Yeah, now is in enemy lines though. He's trying to see if he can play this sneakily, but there's too many members of WE.
Elk is forward, but that arcane shift over the wall gets him out into the equalizer, lined up WE in a choke Stormbringer there, but this is what you need. Elk is still free hitting. Sam D's on top of him, Sonic Wave's there, into the back line. Breathe, baby! That's the prodigy. Sonic Wave once again, he resonates with all top laners in the league.
Holy moly, Breathe! I am loving you on this Lee Sin pick. He is popping off 7, 1, and 4. He is unstoppable. Mobility with such sheer mechanical skill is taking over this series.
WE now with huge death time as a player with, not huge, but let's be honest, at this point in the game where they're doing so much damage, it feels the way. They won't be able to end the game, but 24 minutes in, WE with an 11k gold lead and Patch almost walking to his death. Beishang will pick up potentially the last dragon of the game. And Dagda, I mean, this game wasn't as much of a slam, but WE are making these fights feel like it was.
But this is the thing, for people that were, hyped about this WE roster coming in, we saw that there was maybe some upsets, people weren't sure how it was going to work together, but when you've got team fighting mechanics coming out of it like this, it's insane. Elk here finding great spots to DPS in the front line. He ends up getting chased out, but just in time and just enough damage to set up for Breathe, who with that Gourd Drinker can survive so incredibly long. You also get the heal at the last second for Elk to keep him alive. It was just beautiful fights, both front and back. And you can see that this has been the style for WE in these fights. You've got Elk dealing with the front line, heaping out that damage, whereas you got Breathe, who's consistently sneaking his way in onto dealing with Sam D.
At this point, I mean, Sam D, he does his best in those fights. His positioning was great. I don't think Sam D had a bad series, but result of the team where Breathe gets in and it's so hard to manage him. Now you can see Dagda, Mole on the side lane, 3-item Twist of Fate. He can buy so much time. Gold card there with the rapid fire cannon reaches beyond the fingertips, and side lanes in order. Bottom super minions are pushing in, and it's only a matter of time before TT, have to respond to that and WE pick up more objectives.
And you got to be so careful here, because Xiaopeng, Sam D, anyone along those lines getting caught out will spell game over. And when you've got such a short range composition, the wave clear not really going to be going in your favor. You got to go and deal with this side lane push from Mole and the super minions. There's just too many things happening at once for TT to be able to manage.
I just like that. It's like, okay, we have to make a decision. He's not nah, he's nah. Is WE going to the top side? The flank not going to work out though, because they've seen right through it. There's not deep vision there, but now that is spotted out, they'll be like, okay, we've hit top lane inhibitor, another one broken. Can't get away with this, as Gold Card will connect in the next engage. And as he gets locked on down, Breathe wants the Sonic Wave in. Minion blocks it, but there you go. Now WE only have the mid to worry about to start punishing and push down the whole broken base.
And you still have a minute and a half until Baron. This is just a siege without the Baron buff. Now you add that into the equation, and you can see TT are struggling. Now, he's been caught out.
Okay, locked down for a little bit, punched in the face, and TT now getting poked down by WE in the middle of their base. Look at the supers on the bottom lane, and look at the top lane starting to build up. TT have to respond to that. The minion wave is not there, but this is the kick. Wow, again. Breeze just finds a little gap in the armor and takes it away. Mole comes in, Everfrost gold card, give another kill over this time to Beishang, and WE through bottom lane are looking to end this one as Sett packing, gets a nice little haymaker, flashes away. That'll get him out, but Breathe goes golden to buy time. Sonic Wave into the resonating strike. He cripples everyone he touches with a double kill, ready for the triple, but yes, sitting at the base. And Dagda, they're playing with their food now as they're waiting for these minions to roll in.
And you got two waves that are coming in, a mid inhibitor that exposed, but WE, they don't care. They want to end this right now.
All right, first Nexus turret needs to drop down, but Sonic Wave, once again, Breathe is just not taking damage. This Lee Sin heals up absolutely everything. Every auto, every touch. Breathe again, into the Nexus, into the fountain.
He's still alive.
It's been a masterclass as he lives on to tell the tale in a 2-0 for WE at the end of week 1.
Oh god, Breathe was just having fun by the end of that. Just like, yeah, I'll pop over here for a little bit, safeguard this way, just leaving just dizzy eyes in the back of the heads of everyone on TT. What an immaculate performance from Breathe.
It was, incredible to say the least. Again, game 1, he was set up for success. Game 2, he just had another good laning phase, and he kind of brought this one out of his own fruition. And WE, I mean, this is the clean gameplay we want. I think the biggest issue at the moment is Mole is not on the same page with the rest of WE. Should be one of the strongest members, but I think is performing like one of the weakest. So a lot of questions to be answered, but at the very least for WE, you look at this team now sitting 2-0 in the standings. You expect them to be, one of the strong front runners going into the second week. And I think WE, we can all say that it is an improvement on the last season, but we just want to know how much further can they push it and how much can they tighten up the play with the other lanes that are not called, jungle or top.
Yeah, I mean, look, TT have a lot to work on. And we kind of knew that from the get-go, but it feels like every so often we get this flash of brilliance from them, and then that spark is quickly diminished as we start to go into the next series for them. But when we look across at WE, like, I'm pretty high on these guys right now. Like, I think they've got exceptional talent in Breathe, who we've already seen, like, I mean, this is going to be a double MVP performance for him that he's in. Like, that was absolutely insane. We've got the Akali game that he popped off on in their game against, or their series against Suning. And then as well, you're looking at Beishang, who's still doing insane stuff. And this Udyr game, the early game, was dominated by him. The fact that Xiaopeng managed to sneak 2 kills onto Mole is the only reason that Rumble was even remotely relevant in this game. And then still on the bot side, like, Elkin missing, we didn't get to look towards him a lot this game. Now, the bottom lane did definitely go the way of Samd and Patch, at least in this game, but it's Ezreal into Kaisa. You're not really going to do too much. But when you got to the team fights, Elk was churning out the damage. Positioning was amazing. He was consistently being able to DPS the backline in these fights. And then when needs be, he was still just about managing to escape with his life while churning out all this damage at the same time. So I think when you, yes, there is that question mark around Mole in the mid lane, but when the rest of the team is standing out that much, it's hard to not be, pretty high on WE right now.
I mean, I think Mystic had a good game. Just for context, I mean, Elk played his role as he should. Before saying that, Mole is a big question mark at the moment and shouldn't be. I think Mole just, growing pains getting into this team is important to note. On the side of TT, there is still a lot of development to be done there. Like, is going to be the mid laner they're sticking with? I think it needs to be said that this team, if it wants to develop throughout the split, stick with one mid laner for the majority of the split. And I guess it's the start of the split, so they're trying out, different ones. But with 4 mid laners on this roster, just pick one, and we'll see how it goes. In other news, Dagda, Sam D had a pretty good series, I think. Sam D played his role, and you're right, they won the bottom lane this time around, and Patch was roaming around really nicely. And Sammy D was, playing as one of the best members on this TT roster as per usual. So we'll go back to the drawing board and see what happens from here on, but I think overall, it's just the WE story in less than 55 minutes, which was the series. I think the series, Dagda, was actually 52.5 minutes, if even that.
That is insane. But it was confident play from WE, and I think as well, like, one of the big problems that I had was watching that Suning game, especially in game 3, got this massive lead for WE that ballooned from the early stages. We got to mid to late game, we're kind of like, well, we're waiting for them to do something. And we're still waiting for them to do something. That was not this series. This series was decisive. They knew exactly how to close out the game, playing through Breathe as well on top side, being able to... We talked about the mid game was like, right, Breathe, you got 2 towers, right, let's move you to mid. Let's go and make these plays in the mid lane turret after we get that Rift Herald. Then we're moving Breathe into the bot side of the map because they're constantly playing with their strongest portion of the map, and it's making it nigh impossible for TT to mount any sort of comeback.
And for anyone who's wondering,